mean, wicked can just be more than just a word, a descriptor word. Like it can be an actual
adjective.
noun.
Barding. Ah.
These
I don't know
things.
any of these things besides
How
Bree's
do you-
hockey
how do you-
journey.
We got our first hater the other day.
Shout out to my dad.
That made me mad. Now I'm triggered.
Oh, and god damn it. What a pro wants. What a pro wants. Episode 61, Bread Loves Hockey Podcast. Just the two amigos today, like the classic saying.
I was gonna do that. Just the two of us.
We can make it if we try. Yeah, probably.
Now you're gonna have to edit that song in.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I'm
See,
doing
now,
that.
now I can turn this on you. You're the one editing. Oh, can you add this cool edit?
Yeah. Oh, I just thought of something really random. Yeah. Throw up a ton of weird images.
Yeah. So disclaimer. I will be gone. When you're hearing this, I will still be gone until next week, and Brendan will be editing this episode. So if there's any errors, yell at him, not me.
Bear with me. I'm a first timer. Okay. Dean gave me hopefully what will be a very useful tutorial. I'm sure of it, but we'll see what the final product is. I know everybody's so used to Dean's techniques and humor and all that.
I try.
But enough with the meta stuff, I suppose.
Fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, this is a bit. I mean, we're very close to some real action. We do have preseason now underway, and I had mentioned last week that I was going to the Sabres' first preseason game, which was the first preseason game for the season. Basically, I think there was another game. I think the Stars Blues game that had the same start time. I don't know technically which one dropped the puck first, but whatever, it doesn't matter. But it was still cool to be at one of the first games, and there were actually more people there than I would have guessed. I guess for Buffalo. I mean, this is the best time to be optimistic about the team.
What percentage were Buffalo fans versus Pittsburgh fans?
Oh, it was pretty solid for Buffalo. There were definitely some Penguins fans, but it wasn't like, oh wow, Pittsburgh invasion sort of thing.
Yeah, not like a Toronto situation.
Yeah, exactly, which was very refreshing to see. Like, okay, good, Buffalo fans, yeah, they exist, not just for the Bills.
Mm-hmm. And you got to see 2 hat tricks.
Yeah, it was a very interesting game. The Penguins scored with in a minute into the game. They got an early power play and scored, and I had sent a couple of guys in the group chat a picture. I was like, well, that's it, season's over.
Wrap it up, boys.
Wrap it up. But they quickly turned things around. They being the Sabres with a solid 7-3 win. So Puljujarvi gets the hat trick for the Penguins. He scored their only 3 goals, and JJ Peterka scores a hat trick for the Sabres. It was a 5-goal second period, which was pretty fun, and that was on the side that we were watching the Sabres shoot on. So always happy to see that.
Nice.
We had good seats.
Puljujarvi scored near the end of the game, right? To get his hat trick. Like, the game was already kind of over at that point.
Yeah, he scored 2 goals in 10 seconds or something like that in the third period when it was 7-1 and then 7-2. So yeah, game was basically done. It was a lot chippier than I would have expected. Like a couple half-ish fights. Like they were little fights, but yeah, there were 3 going on at one point at the same time on the ice, which was again not expected. And it was Tage Thompson was fighting somebody, and I think maybe Dylan Cousins was getting involved, which is let's maybe not have these guys be the ones doing the fighting if it's anybody. But yeah. I think Lindy probably didn't mind too much. They were playing with a lot of physicality. We
wear a hat to the game.
I didn't wear a hat. I just don't wear hats.
Yeah.
But,
how many hats were thrown for a preseason hat trick?
Yeah, so So Ryan had his hat too, but he didn't throw his. So
You were in. You could probably get it in like one toss over the ice from your seats,
yeah, we
right?
could have. We easily could have. So Paterka scored the hat trick before Puljujarvi, and no hats were thrown on the ice for the Buffalo one. I was like, okay, yeah, I guess it makes sense. It's preseason, and also there was like a little bit of a discrepancy at first if it was his goal or if it was deflected off someone else, but it was his goal, so maybe that was part of it. But still,
Hmm.
nobody did. And then when Puljujarvi did, some Penguins fan that was sitting across from us, he's like, I'll throw it, and it was funny. It was just like the one hat on the ice, and then the
I
you
feel
know
like
the referee grabs it and throws it back into the stands, and like the guy was able to convince like some kid that he threw it to that it was his, that he actually got the hat back.
wow.
So it was like that was really funny. I'm like, how many
That's in-
times do you get to actually toss your hat on the ice and
Get it
get it
back.
back? That's
That's
a pretty
crazy.
fun story.
I was thinking that like if you're the only one, like you know how at least for in Boston, like during the regular season, the player will normally pick a hat to keep.
Yep.
I was like, well, if I'm the only one throwing the hat, like Pasta will get my hat. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I have a direct influence on pasta right now if I throw
Yeah,
this.
like it's your only choice, buddy.
Yeah. I guess that is kind of funny. I mean, no, Pugliarvi didn't get the chance to take that one. I don't think he wanted it either. They were
Yeah.
still getting creamed. But I mean, yeah, it was pretty much the entire Buffalo like starting regular season roster other than Darlene and maybe Jordan Greenway. I think he was a healthy scratch.
Mm.
But other than that, it was basically what they're going to be looking like opening night on October 4th. But because they are going to Prague. But the Penguins, it was like mostly Wilkes-Barre Scranton guys and some fourth liners and new guys like Cody Glass, O'Connor. There were a couple others that like you kind of recognize those fourth line, third line guys. But yeah, the goalies I had not heard of before, Blomqvist and um, some other guy. I don't Larson. I was like, eh,
Did they
even I don't
switch
know.
their goalies halfway through the game? Because I know like during the Bruins preseason game, halfway through they did like both teams swapped their goalies to like a backup.
The Sabres did not swap. They had Lukin in for the whole game. They had James Reimer backing up, but they did the Penguins did swap out Blomqvist for Larson just because he was getting shelled. I think
Mm.
it's like might as well see. Like these are those are probably like their third or fourth string guys. I would have to bet. So it's like, well, if we want to kind of see what our emergency situation is, we might as well give each guy an equal. Like it's not like the same thing as the backup versus the third string. I feel like that drop off is a lot different for that.
Sure. Yeah, and even though
So
it's the preseason, you don't want to leave a goalie in there just like getting shelled.
yeah, it's like all right. I think we've seen enough
Yeah.
of that for tonight.
Hmm.
Luukkonen wasn't like super great either. There was like at least one of those Puljujarvi goals that he would have probably wanted back, but I mean, again, preseason, and they kind of let off the gas a little bit at the end there. So, I mean, not all the way. Like, still think they had a pretty good compete level, but yeah, it was fun. And I do think we recorded a little video after the game, just talking about it. So we might put that up on Twitter or make a short out of it. I think it's a little long for a short, but um, stay tuned. I guess maybe it'll probably be posted by the time the video comes out. But
So the Sabres scored 7 in that game, 6 in their next game, and now they're playing the Penguins again as we speak. They're up 2-1 after the first. Is it too early to get on the hype train?
yes, that's the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what caliber of opponents they've played since then. Like, if the Penguins are now like having Crosby and Malkin and Letang and stuff,
Right.
or if it's still like those other guys. I mean, you got to think at some point they got to get the veterans in. But I mean, it is good to see them scoring, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I
Well,
mean, even if this was the regular season and they had those scores in the first two games, it's like we see this every year with them for the last like 5 or 6 years, where
yeah.
they have this huge run off the start and like in a playoff spot, it's like this is their year, and then they take a nosedive.
Yeah, starts have never really been the problem. It's the finish or like some weird
The
slump in the
middle.
middle, like a month where they get 3 or 4 wins, and it's like, okay, yep, back to the regular old scheduled Sabres.
Hmm.
So maybe that won't happen this year. We got the new coach again. Well, new old coach, former Sabres coach, now rejoining the team for a second stint. But got a couple of new faces in there, and yeah, there's a lot of opportunities for some of the younger guys like Benson and Cousins and Krebs to really step up this year because it's a pretty young team. It's like one of the youngest teams on average, with like a couple outliers really bringing them up a little bit, to be honest. Um, so we'll see if they're hungry enough. I did not have them in my preseason bracket, which I've now made. I think I might still tweak it a little bit. We initially had set the date for those being due the first day of preseason, but some folks weren't really able to make that work, so we pushed it to October 1st. That's when we're gonna have ideally everybody's that's part of the BLHP universe or whatever. Um, so hopefully we'll get those by, I guess it would be next episode. You'd know about them.
Hmm. Um, Other parts around the league preseason, both our teams have played one game apiece.
Yep.
Yep. The Bruins had similar to I guess the Penguins did not have many starters. Like as far as NHLers, you could say three or four, and that's kind of pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
So their first like 1C was Beecher,
Okay.
um, and then their first D pair was Lori and Peak, who have both played NHL games. Beecher has as well, and
Mm-hmm.
Waterspoon on the second line. So those are like your four um, NHLers again, if you can call them that. I think Merkulov played like one or two games, and
Yep.
maybe I don't know if Lee Sell ever played an NHL game,
I don't think so. I
but
think he just played preseason.
yeah. And then the rest is all. Oh, and Kastelik, because we just got him in the Olmark trade,
Yep.
so he was playing too. But yeah, the rest was like Kuntar, Farinacci, Lisel, Merkulov, Letary, Duran, Tufty, Koki, I don't know how to say that guy's name. Brown might have played a couple games. Nelson, I've never even heard of. Sweezy, Osterley, Brunet, and then Brendan Bussey in net. So, like all these guys, um, not a whole lot of experience there. But it was also like a really chippy game. Um, 'Cause they were playing the Rangers. I mean, not that rivalries are a big thing in the preseason, but just like one of the Bruins players was got lit up once or twice with big hits, and then they ended up actually fighting at the end of a period.
Oh,
Kind
I
of just
think I saw that.
real scrappy stuff. So it was good. It was fun to watch. I think a lot of fans' biggest takeaway was like Lysell and Merkulov were the two big rookies that were looking to like make an impact this year. Hopefully, we're like, yeah. I mean, they didn't make any big mistakes, but they were just kind of quiet. I guess would be the best way to put it. So still time.
Yeah, I mean, some of these types of players need a couple playmakers in order to like elevate them. You know, they're not
Hmm.
always gonna be like the line driving kind of role. Um,
Yeah.
but and yeah, again, one game doesn't always tell you a whole lot of information. But it is useful to get at least a couple in there, and then just get these guys ready for regular season action, get in shape for the speed of the game. Everybody always talks about it, and it's absolutely true. It's like it even practice, like it doesn't, you can't replicate the intensity and the speed um, without playing the actual game. So
Yeah, and someone had posted like Lysell was a 20-something overall pick in 2021, I think, and someone posted about all those people drafted in his spot over the years, like how long it took them to get into the NHL, and it was only like 3 or 4 years. So it'd be like around this time. takes time to develop. Like they're not a top 5 pick.
Yeah, yeah, you're in that area where you're betting on like a big ceiling, but they're not ready where like you can immediately see it or you like absolutely need it in your lineup. So that's kind of like the typical time frame for that range, unless you like really find a way to stand out and like are called upon early due to injuries, and maybe you just grab a hold of a role and then they can't really put you back down to the minors sort of thing. But yeah, that's generally the trajectory. Um, a lot slower than some other sports, especially like football, where it's like
Right.
kind of just throw them to the wolves a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and did they end up winning the game?
Um, I think they lost. I honestly don't remember. I like don't like even look at the scores in preseason games. Like
Yeah.
I just watch how the players play because I know they scored the first goal, but I think they ended up losing.
When did they play? Sunday?
Yeah. Are you checking? I was about to
They
look.
lost 3-2. Yep.
Okay. Oh yeah, because I remember they had the goalie pulled at the end. Yeah, like again, I'm not really focused on a win or loss. I'm just watching the young guys,
Sure. Yeah,
and
I
yeah, they're
mean,
playing
doesn't make a difference.
right now, and they have a few more NHLers. They have Brazil playing, and Patrick Brown is also on the first line. Trent Frederick, um, Tyler Johnson, McLaughlin, Patra is playing on the fourth line,
Okay.
and you got Carlo and Lindholm,
All
and
right,
then Corpusal is the backup.
they're
So
easing
like
in
they're
a little
getting
bit.
there. Yeah. What
Did
was the Knights lineup looking like for game one?
Yeah, I was just sort of checking it, and it's a pretty similar situation as far as the Bruins go. Mostly, mostly depth guys. Couple notable ones. So Mason Morelli, I had mentioned, he got into a couple games last year. He was that 28-year-old that scored his first goal. Brisson is like probably our top prospect or one of them. Howden, Ron Bjerg has played a handful of games. Denisenko, Kolasar is probably like the biggest known name. Tanner Pearson, who we signed to the PTO. Caden Korzak, Ben Hutton, Robert Haig,
Oh,
Dyson
Sheldon
Mayo.
Rempel.
No Rempel, actually. Um, that does surprise me a little bit. And then Isaiah Seville, the mayor of Savesville, and Akira Schmid, who looks like they
Yeah,
both got into the game.
yeah, they'll
Uh,
probably do this. I mean, I guess what the Bruins
they
are doing
split
is
it,
like
yeah.
slowly adding more and more, and then they'll probably have like a full kind of roster set up for one or two of the games, and then they'll probably give up like maybe a couple players some rest games before going into the season. So
Yeah,
typically how
that
it goes.
that makes sense. That's how it usually goes. Looks like I actually wasn't able to catch a ton of the game. I did see like a decent amount of the third period, but the Golden Knights went 0 for 5 on the power play, which I'm not in love with.
Mm,
Um, but they had
the
37
Bruins weren't
shots on
good
goal,
either.
and they did win the game also 4-2. It was against
Like
the
power plays are
Sharks.
tough with like a bunch of young guys who haven't played together before, and like
That's true. Um,
the Bruins power play sucked last year anyway. So
yeah, we didn't have like a great power play either. Neither of our special teams were very good last season, so hopefully to see some improvements there. The Sharks honestly didn't really have a super stellar lineup either. I don't think like they have other NHL caliber players that could have started. They had some though.
they
We
had
saw Celebrini.
Celebrini. Didn't he get his first goal?
Yeah, he did. So that was cool. Even though I would prefer if he didn't score, but preseason, sure, whatever. I don't care. I guess that's fine. But yeah, still a little early. I think they play again tomorrow against the Kings. So we'll see how much of that one I catch. That's 10 o'clock. Yeah, I should just. I mean, I should just expect it at this point.
Yeah,
But
pick a
yeah,
new team if you don't want the West Times.
or move.
Yeah, or move.
That sounds hard.
Yeah, inexpensive.
Yeah, that too. Did you see
Um,
the Utah Hockey Club scoring their first ever franchise goal on their own net?
Yeah, and you see the Blues tweet to like congratulate them.
Oh
They're
my
like
god, that was
the
so
Blues
savage.
be our team. Yeah,
It had like 13,000 likes on Twitter. It was going, yeah, because
yeah.
they
'Cause
were
it was
playing
on like a
against the Blues.
delayed penalty
Mm-hmm.
because they had their goalie pulled and he's like passed it back into the net. It's like, yep, this team is still the Coyotes at heart.
Yeah, they they still have a little blood of the Coyotes left.
Yeah.
That's actually really funny though. And the Coyotes were the team that were the recipients of a delayed penalty goal last season against
Mm, the
Pittsburgh.
Penguin. Yep.
So what goes
One of your
around
end
comes
of
around.
season quiz questions.
Good memory on you, Dean.
Kenny Malkin.
Yep, Gino passing back to Letang, and oop, there it is. But
Yep.
yeah, they did eventually score. I think it was one of like the up and coming Arizona guys. Who the heck was it?
Yeah, I forget. Now you're gonna look it up, so you don't have to make a text edit,
Yep,
right? This is
I'm
how
yeah.
this world of editing. You're like, I'm gonna
Like
minimize how much editing I have to do.
the exact Dean, you've got it right on the nose because there's no way I'm gonna have to find it. Come on, Brendan, let's go. Dylan
Oh,
Holloway. Nope,
Dylan
nope, that's
Holloway.
not it. Michael Carconi. There we go.
That sounds about right.
Yeah,
Yeah, they ended up
Holloway
winning.
is
They
for
scored
the
like five
Blues.
goals, right?
They did win. They won 5-3,
Yeah.
and St. Louis went up 2-0. So they had a good little stretch there. Cooley, Carconi with an empty netter, and yeah. So there you go. And did you notice that the NHL score has the full name Utah Hockey Club rather than just the nickname? Like all the other
No.
teams, it says Senators, Maple Leafs,
Oh,
Golden
maybe
Knights,
hockey club would
Sharks.
be weird.
Yeah, I guess they just didn't want to have Hockey Club on its own, which
Well, I heard
shouldn't that
some
tell
people
you
were just
something about the name?
calling them the Utahns.
The Utahns. Ugh. It's yeah. No. I
Not
don't
feeling it.
I'm not
Look, that's
I'm
if you're
not
from
feeling it.
Utah, you're a Utahn.
Yeah, you are. I just don't like it,
Fair enough.
even if it's true.
Do you want to talk about some new signings?
Yeah, we do have a few and some that were just after we finished recording last week.
Yeah.
So we had touched on the Lucas Raymond extension, and then shortly after, the other big RFA in Detroit, Moritz Seider signs his deal, which was a 7-year deal rather than the 8-year deal that Lucas Raymond got. 7 years, 8.55 million per. Which, yeah, that was pretty much almost all of the cap space left. So I guess good on Detroit for waiting. Like I don't know. I don't. Did they end up getting any real savings? I feel like no.
Well, I mean, I guess the reason it took so long is Iserman obviously is tough when it comes to negotiating. Um, and I don't think he wanted to pay anyone more than Larkin. Larkin was like the limit. He's like upper 8 million range. So they
Yeah,
got it under the Larkin cap hit, which I assume is what Iserman wanted, and that's probably why they only got 7 years instead of 8.
yeah,
Because
that's
this
what I
way
would think
Sawyer going
too.
to be like 30 at the end of the contract. And I don't know. I feel like signing a 30-year-old versus a 31-year-old feels like a bigger difference than it should be as far as like how long your next contract will be. But I don't know. I think 7 years, 8.55 is a good deal for Sider. I mean, he's only 23. All the hype he's had, like I think the team is really happy with that contract.
Yeah, we'll see if it's like gonna be a slam dunk. I think we kind of mentioned that with Raymond as well. Like these could pan out really, really well. That's what I mean. A lot of the contracts that have been signed lately, I feel like we've been generally pretty happy with the value because of the
Hmm.
expectations for the rising salary cap, and um, just seems like that's the trend right now. So we'll see. You know, in a couple years, it's like okay, maybe some of these moves weren't really as cap friendly as you'd like. I I didn't even think about it.
We had some other young guys sign as well. Dawson Mercer with the Devils, 3 years, 4 million per. So he opted for the shorter contract. Well, he or the team, who knows? Ideally, both of them. So, I mean, we talked about that too. Like sometimes going for the 8 years when you could make money theoretically betting on yourself for the shorter term. But I think that's a good deal as well. I
I think
don't
it
know.
makes sense for both parties.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not super familiar with Mercer's game, but
He could. I do think he could grow into that contract really well, and then by the end of it, it's like okay, he's due to get paid pretty well afterwards. Guess we'll see next time Chandler comes back on how he feels. I know we chatted about it a little bit when he was there, but yeah, overall I think it's a good move for both parties.
hmm
Um, Kevin Lankinen signs a deal with Vancouver. Was that a 1 year deal? Eight point seven
1 year,
five
eight
k.
75K.
Yep. They just need some um, veteran NHL backups at goalie with the current Demko situation still being up in the air as far as his timeline. He said that he doesn't have a specific timeline, which is always kind of scary. It's some type of back issue that I don't think any other real professional athlete has dealt with this specific thing, which is also a little uneasy. So um, that definitely puts some question marks on the season with as far as what their goaltending depth looks like. So we had said Shilovs was the expected starter while Demko's out, and now they have Lankinen as well. I They also signed Yuri Patera and Dylan Ferguson, a couple former Golden Knight goalies, but yeah, none of those really like scream out that this is a really solid option. But who's
Mm,
left, you know?
yeah.
So we'll see how that
Um,
pays out.
we also had Dylan Gunther sign with Utah. Got 8 years, 7 million per, which I feel like is kind of a lot, but I feel like they're similar to like Seattle, where like they have to just pay these players more to play on their team because no one wants to play there. Maybe it's different with Utah because I mean they're a new team, but it seems like a lot of money for this type of player. But I also heard Clayton Keller before this contract got signed was talking about how like Gunther has like a really sneaky good shot. He said that like not many people better than him except like maybe Matthews. I'm like, okay, if you say so.
He
But
he's only
like he could,
21,
yeah. So I mean, he
drafted
could be,
ninth overall. Like he could do really well.
yeah.
I don't know. I think that will work from what like the couple seasons. I guess I think maybe just the one season that we've seen of him in Arizona, and again the situation is just different now. I do think, and this has been touched on a little bit, but I do think that the Coyotes situation last season definitely impacted the play on ice, whether or not it was really fair. It's like it kind of wasn't, but um, that's that's what happened. So we'll see if there was a little bit more potential there that could have blossomed if they were just stable and still in Arizona, and now at least they're locked up into sticking with Utah for the hopefully foreseeable future. So
Yeah, he's only played 2 seasons, but he's averaging .78 points per game, which is like it seems like the kind of going rate for young talent these days. And again, we keep talking about, but like obviously the cap's going up, so in halfway through this contract, it'll probably look like a decent deal.
yeah, no, I like it. Again, we don't have a ton of like really gaudy contracts being handed out right now. There are still some, um, but and most of those again are from free agency day where if you really want to get somebody, you might have to make an overpay and hope that it pans out. Mistakes are
hmm
made on free agency day, of course, but yeah, I think this works. A couple other very minor deals. Logan O'Connor signs with or re-signs with the Avalanche on a 6 year deal at 2.5 million per, which actually I think that's pretty good. I don't know really how much offense you're gonna get there, but um, he's still okay. He's 28, so a little bit older. Um, Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, that's probably not. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I don't know if he can blossom into anything more than maybe a third line role, but
Hmm.
2.5 isn't crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and then Cole Perfetti uh, signs with the Jets on a 2-year deal, 3.25 million per. So he he had never really expressed that he wasn't gonna return to the Jets, and I think he even did the media tour, which I don't think a player that's been unsigned has ever done that before.
Yeah, that's kind
Especially
of
for
interesting.
Winnipeg, that's like really reassuring.
Seemed like he was in good spirits too.
Yeah, so that's good to hear. It is a short term deal, which I'm sure some Jets fans are a little bummed, like kicking this can down the road. But
Yeah, but I mean, if I guess if you can't agree on something, then
better at least to keep him around for a little bit.
yeah.
And then if it really seems to gel these next couple seasons, then good chance that the team will want to have him back, and he'll probably want to stick around if the team does well. So yeah, that's good to at least have that underway. So we mentioned it before we started, but that leaves just one restricted free agent left to sign.
Who
We
could
all
that be?
we all know who it is.
It's Jeremy Swayman.
Still
Yeah, I feel like this
unsigned.
past week I haven't heard too much more. I mean, all
I
the
haven't.
we had the whole rundown last week of everything. I think Spit and Chicklets just released a new episode, and they were talking about Don Sweeney at some point, but I haven't listened to it. Um, but yeah, by December 1st, which I mean, I guess makes sense if you're Don Sweeney to not put any other deadline, because then you're just putting pressure on yourself, right? Like if you say, yeah, it'll be done before the first game, and then like he can't get it done, then the media's all over him, and everyone's on Swayman's side. But like December 1st is literally the deadline because he can't play after that if you don't sign him. So
Yeah, good political answer there from
yeah.
Sweeney.
I mean, he had a good press conference because he also talked about like people asked how is the team better this year, and he said like he mentioned a lot about how the forecheck, like our forecheck wasn't that good last year, but we want to like cause anxiety in the other team and like really kind of force this pressure, make them make mistakes, that sort of thing. I'm like, oh, I like this. So,
Saying the right things, that's good.
yeah, he's
Um,
been through this before. He knows what the deal is, and also, I guess we're getting kind of past this point now, but like, Pasta was free agent one off season, McAvoy, and these signings happened like around this time, like late September. So like it's not unheard of to wait this long, but I don't remember the media being this big of a deal on those. It might have been, it might just be recency bias, but like with your starting goalie and not having a good backup is probably a bigger deal.
yeah, that's probably what it comes down to. Like, you can't really replace Pasta or McAvoy, but there are other players that do play those positions that are like ready to play in the NHL versus like okay,
Pasta
Corpusalo, and
doesn't
then
play 60 minutes a night.
yeah, we don't have like any proven success with Bussy yet, and pretty much all the other veteran guys are gone that have signed PTOS. So
That was the other thing too. Bussy kind of looked meh in the first preseason game. Like he looked like an AHL goalie, but like last year, I remember in the preseason he was making some crazy saves.
yeah, he
And
was.
maybe he's been talking to goalie Bob, and he's been like, "Hey, our style is not diving all over the place. You gotta like, being it's about positioning. So maybe he's changing his style a little bit, and there's some growing pains. Who knows?
He's never heard of Tim Thomas.
This isn't the 2010s anymore.
Yeah, but he won the cup.
He did win the cup. I mean,
Can't take
Bob
that
kind of
away.
plays like that too, and he just won the cup. So
Yeah, he does. Fleury does as well.
yeah.
He's one of the most egregious examples of that style of play, but I mean, obviously it's worked out very well for him
Yeah, there's still
before.
some goalies like that.
It's his last go around this season. Who was backing up for Bussy in the first game? Do you know?
Di Pietro, and he's
Oh,
starting tonight.
okay. They're up 3-1 on the Capitals right now.
Okay.
Very good. Sabres are up 3-2 on the Penguins. Um,
You mentioned that Fleury is playing his last season. Do you know who else is playing his last season? Jaromir Jagr.
last go around.
Supposedly.
Yeah, I'd sort of reported on this like earlier in the off season or in the summer, how he had kind of said that yeah, this is going to be his last professional season with HC Kladno. He's 52 years old. He's already scored a goal this season, which is pretty fun. Um, but yeah, he's understandably getting old, and it's very tiring and taxing on the body to continue playing at this level for that long. This is what,
I
like
mean, I
his
wouldn't be surprised.
37th professional season?
Something like that. Well, yeah, if he started when he was 18, like that would be 30, 34.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he
34.
could still play another year. He doesn't need to commit to anything. But I know we had also discussed like, do you waive the Hall of Fame 3 year waiting period like they did for Gretzky and Lemieux? It's like
Yes.
I feel like Yager's in that same category.
I think unequivocally, yes.
Like
You
the only
don't
reason
take
he's,
any
he's
time.
still playing is like, well, obviously the love of the game and like keeping a hockey team alive. Like,
Yeah, he owns the team.
yeah. Again, he said the only reason he's still playing is because he didn't want the team to go under.
Yeah, that's true dedication there.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I absolutely think you waive the time requirement to get him into the hall right away.
Yeah. Tough thing to do though, so we'll see. But if anyone's gonna do it, it's probably Yager is the best chance.
Yeah, I think of any player left, besides guys that are actively playing right now. Maybe
Sure.
there'd be a couple in the future, but I think yeah, for right now,
Not anytime soon.
yeah,
The thing the next would maybe be McDavid.
or Ov maybe
No.
if he breaks the goal record.
No, it's just one record though. Like I don't know. I feel like it's different with Yager. I wouldn't put Ovi on that same level.
Don't yeah, I don't know. You probably don't have to waive it for him, and maybe he'll even play in like the KHL once he retires from the NHL. Like who knows?
Yeah.
So maybe not. But yeah, I do think they'll do that for Yager in like probably March or April or something like that. Whenever their season over there wraps up.
Yeah.
I do not know European Hockey League schedules, or
Probably similar.
I only really know North America. We,
Hmm.
we we do say we love hockey, but we can only cover so many leagues.
Right.
Cover the big ones, the relevant ones for us.
Mm-hmm. All right, what else you got as you take a sip of water?
Way to go, dude. Let's just quickly the top of the list here. We had a couple captains named, and then one more right after we recorded was Radko Gudas named the captain of the Ducks. This is only I think his second season with the team, and I know some fans were like a little surprised by that. They think he's more of like a goon player, but he is actually pretty solid as far as a defenseman goes. Um, we'll see like if he sticks around. I think some people were thinking it might be sort of a Giordano being named captain of the Kraken sort of thing, where like if the Ducks aren't good again this year, they just like trade him at the deadline for assets, and
Hmm.
oh, there goes our captain again. But
Like the captain will add value to this trade. Like this guy, he's a captain.
yeah, see, he's way better now.
Yeah.
He's a leader by default.
Hmm.
But I think it's fine. They'd been using him in a lot of promotional material for the team throughout the season, so I was kind of getting an inclination that they might go that route, and that ended up being true. I mean, I don't know what other good candidates there really were on the team. Like maybe some of the just other guys that have been around for a while. Silverberg just retired, so he would have been a great candidate if not for that. Um,
Yeah.
there aren't really a ton of guys that have like stuck around through the entirety of the rebuild. Will probably just be some of the young guys like Terry or Zegras, I guess.
I also don't know if I love
McTavish.
having captains for like 2 or 3 years. Like I feel like it's like a passing of the torch from like someone retiring to one of the young guys. It's like the way to do it. But at the same time, if you always do that, you wouldn't have had like Bergeron as a captain. Like Chara retired, and then you had like a couple years couple more years of Bergeron before he retires. Like obviously he's going to be the captain, even though it's only a few years. But like you could
Yeah.
have gone like Chara to McAvoy or whatever. Because then you're going now. Marchand's the captain too. It's like, and it's the same thing. He's only going to be captain for a couple years. So it's like when you look back in the history books, like Chara, like 15 years or whatever. It's like then Bergeron, then Marchand, and then McAvoy maybe 10 years or whatever. But I feel like I like to think of the captaincy as like eras
Yeah,
for a
I
team.
guess that does make sense. It probably depends on the team situation. Like if they feel like they don't have anyone like one of the younger guys that has really grown into like a leadership role, and maybe they just need a veteran voice for like a couple seasons until they figure out what they're gonna do. Like somebody like one of the young new core members really stands out to a coach or a
Yeah.
general manager, like, yeah, this is the guy I want leading the locker room going forward.
Also, just like reward one of the older guys who's been on the team, or like even if they've been there a couple years, but like had a good impact. It's like, yeah, you deserve the C for like at least a year or two.
Also true, yeah. Like I think the Hedman captaincy naming definitely falls into that category where it's
Hmm.
like, yeah, Stam like obviously they had a lot of really good leaders there, so it makes sense. Like, yeah, okay, we just Hedman is obviously a good candidate, even though Stamkos was so great. Like either one of them could have been fine in that role, just like the Chara Bergeron situation for a while there.
Yep.
So that's good. I think that might be it for captaincy namings. I think, although we'll probably see Darlene be named the captain of the Sabres if I had to take a guess. That's what Sandroni thinks as well, based on stuff he's read.
He's the
Um,
expert.
yeah, they're not going to be naming or not going to be doing three alternates, I guess, for the rest of the season. So
Hmm.
the expectation is that somebody will be named, and I think it makes a lot of sense for it to be Darlene. Um, I guess he was already like hosting practices for some of the players during the off season and trying to organize things like that for like workouts and training. So yeah, it all seems like it's leading that way. Uh, well, I don't know if we'll see one in like Utah, for example. My feeling is probably not. There's a couple other teams that don't or that have a vacancy right now. Um, Blackhawks probably not. Oh no, they just named Nick Foligno. Um, yeah, I think. I mean, it's actually not too many now.
I don't know.
Utah.
All the advertisement for the Utah jerseys has a C on the template jersey, so maybe they have to have a captain.
Hmm. I guess
Mhm.
I didn't think about that. Mate. Let's. I mean, who would be a good candidate?
Clayton Keller.
That's probably just the best choice.
Mhm.
Yeah, as far as like been with
How
the
long is
previous
his contract?
organization the longest.
How long is Keller there for?
He's been there for
I guess how long left on his contract?
he's got 4 more seasons.
Yeah, he could probably do something.
So yeah, and he's been with the Coyotes since 2016-17 season. So yeah, I think that's probably the slam dunk choice. I'm sure Utah
Hmm.
fans would be fine with that, even though some of them are probably still getting used to the whole team and players.
Yeah.
I don't know how many Arizona transplant fans we have, just with how bitter that whole situation kind of ended. Like I think a lot of fans are kind of in protest, not really like not um disliking the team, but just I'm not ready to be hurt again like that.
I mean, if you were a Coyotes fan, it's like you're not just gonna pick another random team. I feel like you'd still root for Utah because it's all the same players you've been rooting for.
Yeah, I think if they're still watching the league, they're probably just picking Utah. Otherwise, they're like just abstaining from it because they're
Sure.
upset. Which whatever, you can do whatever you want.
It's fair.
Yeah, I would be upset if my team got moved as well. I was
Hmm.
thinking. I was actually thinking about that. earlier today. I was like, out of like all of the teams for like our little group here, who's probably in the most jeopardy for getting moved. I don't think obviously
Ottawa.
Boston would be not good. Yeah, I think probably Ottawa, even though they have the new owner, but it's I guess it's still possible. I mean, they are. It sounds like they're gonna move, but into Ottawa instead of in
Right. So if they're
Canada.
already putting all this time into like setting up a new arena and things like that, they're probably not going to move to a different like location anytime
Yeah,
soon.
I would really hope so. I don't think there's any team
But
that's like
no,
really poised to be moved.
there was this team last year that had all this talk about a new arena, and then they got relocated. So who's to say?
Who's that? Never heard of them.
Yeah, they were going to play like in a landfill or something.
Yeah, yeah, something about how they were gonna be
Arizona landfill.
playing in the landfill and there was gonna be garbage playgrounds everywhere. I don't know.
Mm.
It all sound pretty far fetched to me.
Yeah, so the Sens are getting closer to moving to Le Breton Flats.
Yep. Um,
So somewhere near Ottawa. And it's funny because like apparently there's people complaining about that too, but everyone used to complain that Canada's in the middle of nowhere. It's like you just can't win with whatever
I
whatever
haven't.
you choose. Because like there were probably people in Canada like now I gotta drive into Ottawa with all the traffic and like
Yeah, I
it's
feel like that's
overall a better
probably.
move.
Yeah, I would think that would be the vocal minority. I do
Yeah.
think a majority of the fans that actually live in the city and will be happy with that move eventually. Which it sounds like there's no current timetable on when they will be able to have shovels in the ground. My guess would be they don't move until like 2029, 2030 season if I had to take a guess because yeah, if they don't know now what the timeline is, say at least 2 years to figure that out and then usually like 3 years to build an arena. So, um we did get some other details on that. It sounds like good chance that it won't be publicly funded, the arena and the construction, which that's good. I'm always for that, just because the billionaires that own the team are the ones that reap the benefits the most, and it's like you should probably have to pay for that. at least
Yeah.
at least most of it. Like I get like some of it being funded publicly funded, maybe every once in a while, but yeah, new owner, and he had also come out and said that he's pushing for you know prices of like parking and merchandise and like concessions to be more reasonable than they are right now, which always good to hear that. I feel like compared
Yes.
to the previous owner, it's a stark difference.
Good posted this about the Face Off Inside the NHL, the new show coming to Prime, and now has a date of October 4th, which is exciting because very soon.
Very
And they
soon.
released, so I guess it's just gonna be 6 episodes. Well, then they're gonna add during the season, right? Like throughout the season, there's gonna be more.
Um,
Or is this
I'm.
it?
I think this might be it. I think it might have just been what they filmed last year.
I thought they were gonna continue, but either way,
Maybe
six
they are.
episodes is what they have. And if Brendan can figure it out, he will put up a picture so you can read each episode name
Maybe.
and and the players featured in each one, so you don't have to go through each one. Um, but basically, they have like the first episode seems like it'll be the Toronto Bruins rivalry, and then I said that weird Toronto Boston or Maple Leafs Bruins,
Yep.
not Toronto Bruins. That's gross. And then a couple ones like with focus on the captains, things like that. And the last 2 episodes are Cup or Bust, part 1 and 2. So that should be obviously the grand finale. Yeah, it's exciting. The trailer that just got released looks great. Got Brendan and I excited. We both watched that right before this recording started.
I got jazzed up watching that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like, oh,
good stuff.
that there was like some really emotional clips in there, and I saw that the teams and the players did not have a say in how the episodes were edited, which is like
Unlike the
that's
Maple
that's
one
great.
that was
Yeah, the Leafs one from a few seasons back about the bubble, the
which
2020
was still
21
good.
bubble. or 1920. It
It was like
was
All or
good.
Nothing, or I forget what it was called. Like
Yeah,
not
All or
Comic Con.
Nothing.
It was All or Nothing. Okay.
Yeah, I and I did like that one too, but it sounds like there were a couple narratives and things that some players were not happy about, and some things that got tweaked or got cut based on
Yeah.
feedback maybe by the team. So not having that, I think, will be excellent. There's probably going to
Agreed.
be some some fan bases or some teams, some franchises that will be a little upset with how they're portrayed, but
Is what it is.
call it like it is.
More
Yeah,
entertainment for us.
Amazon was entrusted with this. I don't know actually who's like if it's an Amazon specific group or if it's just being hosted on Amazon
Well,
that
it's the
filmed
same
it.
people that do the
Oh, the
Drive
Drive
to
to
Survive,
Survive. Yeah, I don't.
or
Yeah,
whoever that is.
whoever that is, I don't know.
I'm guessing they'll do it the same way and release like one episode a week or something then, so you can't just like binge watch all six.
That would be how I would think they would do it as well.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to that. That should be really fun, and we'll probably I don't know if we're gonna. Well, I guess if it's weekly, we might just like talk about it every week, and maybe we'll just have
Yeah.
to
Just a quick minute, like, oh, this episode was really cool.
try not to do too
And
many spoilers. Maybe we'll put a spoiler alert. I don't know. Whatever. Hopefully, you guys
yeah.
are watching along when we are. I'm looking forward to it though.
Um, do you have anything you want to mention about the rule changes? I know we talked about it when during the Board of Governors meeting when it happened last season, and they basically there's been like news articles about it, like it's new, but it's basically just covering it before the season starts. Just I guess more of a reminder, be like, hey, this is the news. It's all pretty minor, but like I don't know.
Yeah, this is just the league like officially coming out with it because I think it was just like leaks from the insiders that were there or hearing snippets
Yeah.
from the meeting. So we already knew if you were like tracking this sort of stuff, but yeah, it's all pretty minor. I think they're mostly good changes. The ability to review the delay a game for puck over the glass. But you specifically you can challenge the call, but you can't initiate a review. So I think it'll work. It'll be a double minor if you get it wrong because you'll also get the delay game penalty.
Yeah.
Um, we had the rule where
Sitting on
the
the boards one, which they had implemented like immediately during the season, which we talked about how that was interesting, and now it's like officially in the rule book, I guess.
I'll be very curious to see how like the first couple of weeks that's enforced. If they are really cracking down on it and like teams quickly get whooped into shape, especially with coaches, like okay, yeah, we're done with this because I'm not
Yeah.
getting called BS penalties
Hmm.
for this. Like you can change just fine without it. We have the rule where the in the offensive zone for the face-off draw, you can get a warning before getting tossed out, which I think was
Well,
only for the defense, right?
well, it was only after icings. So they
Oh,
for
okay.
icings they changed it a while ago so that the defender couldn't get kicked out of the face-off dot for jumping. They just got a warning, and then if you got warned a second time, you got a penalty. So it's almost like, and I feel like in general, like on a non-icing situation, you're kind of more prone to kind of jumping or trying to get the jump on the puck, I guess, because if you mess up, you just the other guy comes in, and with this, like with the warning, it's like you're just the second time you're just trying to not get a penalty, so it's kind of tough. So I assume they thought it was too much of an advantage for the offensive team, so they just gave the same thing after an icing. The offensive center also will get a warning. Because I don't know when you got kicked out of the dot, if the second guy got a warning or not. I forget how that works, but
I feel like it would. I feel like you would have to still get one because it's like I didn't make those two mistakes. Like, why are you blaming me
well,
for what he did?
yeah, I guess we'd have to look into it. But yeah, I don't. It's such a minor rule, and like I don't think I've ever seen someone get called like a minor penalty for jumping on a face-off.
Yeah, I might have seen it happen once or maybe twice, but yeah, again, pretty seldomly called. So, all right. Again, it probably won't factor in a whole lot, but that's an update for you if you weren't aware of it. We also had the backup goaltenders are now able to have a short warm up if they come in, which wasn't allowed before. I know there was like a rule about if they come in relief for an injury as well. That used to be where you couldn't, the backup wasn't allowed to get a warm up. I think there's one for like a shootout as well. If you, I think I remember reading that when I was starting to go through the rule book, and I kind of gave up.
Oh yeah, if the goalie got injured like in the shootout, the new goalie could get a warm up, but now it's just any time
Yeah,
switch out. And then the other one was before if a defender dislodged the net, then you couldn't line change, but now it also includes the goalie dislodging their own net.
which
Bunch of minor things.
I think that's fine. There's probably been a couple of goalies that have definitely intentionally done that to get a line change. So, um, that will probably be a change we won't see any complaints about. But you never know. It's the NHL. There's always something to complain about, isn't there?
Hmm.
But yeah, that was quick little recap for you. Um, they didn't go for anything too crazy, and we probably won't see anything big until the next collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah. Uh, the only other noteworthy thing I had this week is that you know or see that Dominic Hasek is running for national office.
I did not see that.
The more you know.
59 years old, former hockey representative, Olympic champion, and qualified teacher. There you go. He's got 14% of the vote.
This guy said he's a perfect candidate given that he already has experience being a senator.
Ah, ah. Oh, Reddit, thank you very much
Yes.
for that little nugget. I It happens. Well, I don't know if there's like a history of professional athletes that really get elected. I know like a couple celebrities have like Arnold Schwarzenegger, obviously
Donald
probably
Trump.
being one of the big ones. Yeah, I've heard of him. Um, but I don't know if professional athletes typically get elected to major political roles.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's probably gonna go down to one of these top two because
Yeah, he's
they're
in
pretty
third with like
split.
14%, so not
Yeah,
looking great, but good for him nonetheless.
gotta try, I guess, if you really
Good
have
to
the
see
passion.
athletes kind of making a name for themselves or continuing to after they retire,
Yeah,
pursuing other goals.
I have no idea what his policy positions are, but
Yeah, it
you
could be
know,
awful. Who knows?
yeah, who knows?
But he's getting out there and trying, and that's what matters.
Good for you, Dominic,
Yeah.
the Dominator. Um, it's yeah, we don't have a ton this week, so I guess we'll just jump into the season preview I had lined up. I'm wearing my Los Angeles Kings today, which I thought I had already worn this jersey, but I double checked and I haven't. So this is
How do
I
you
think
keep track of which ones you've worn? Do you just hope that you haven't forgotten which one you've worn already?
I have my jersey collection spreadsheet, and I just have a column that I check off for if I've worn it or not.
Nice.
So
I
nice.
wasn't sure if you had a
And
rack for worn and unworn.
no, I wouldn't want to keep moving them like that, and eventually
Yeah.
it would be
Makes a lot more
lopsided.
sense.
It's easier this
That's
way. But anyways, yeah, Kings. Let's talk about them. I don't have them. I guess we'll just jump ahead a little bit, but I don't have them in my preseason bracket making the playoffs. And
Um,
you do have them making the playoffs once again, and you also have them not playing the Oilers again, which is probably very nice to hear. If you're a
yeah.
Jets fan, please don't let me play them for or Jets. If you're a Kings fan, please don't let me play them for like a fourth season in a row in the
Hmm.
first round. Um, but yeah, we can quickly run through the projected lines, courtesy of the Hockey News. Starting with, as soon as I open it up,
Every time I
here we
see
go.
Alex Leferrier, I think of Alexis Lafreniere. They're so similar. I'm like,
Very
wait, when did
similar
they trade for
names.
him? I'm like, no, wait.
Yeah, whoa! That's a bombshell.
Yeah,
Didn't
I
know
should
he
know this.
moved. I thought I would have remembered that. But
Ooh, that's
yeah,
gotta be the triple
Lafreniere,
A line, right? That's what you call that line.
Anze, Adrian, and Alex. That's yeah. That's they're probably gonna get a bunch of points then just because of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if Laferriere has the potential as far as offense to be a first line winger, but I mean, and that might not even be what they're going with, actually. But I think that's a bit much for him. I mean, he's still pretty young. He's only 22.9. We've got the decimals courtesy of the Hockey News. Um, but I obviously Kempe and Kopitar have been good for a long time. So um, no real qualms there. Anze's definitely getting up there in age, 37.1. Um, so probably only a couple more years of real elite play left, and maybe expect a little bit of a drop off. Then we've got Fiala, Byfield, and newly acquired Warren Fogle for the second line, which I think that could actually be pretty good.
That's not bad. Anytime I think of Kevin Fiala, I feel like I've mentioned this before. I just think of when he fractured his femur when he was on the Preds. I'm like, oh man, like that just seems like something you don't come back from. But he's still a good player.
I oh
Great
gosh,
medical science has gotten so far.
yeah, that's like one of the most painful type of fractures that you can have. I think
Your femur is a big
it's
bone.
huge. It's like probably not as bad as childbirth, but it's not like much better. I'm sure like breaking your hip or something could be pretty rough, but yeah, that
Or
sounds
like
brutal.
fracturing your pelvis.
Yeah, your pelvis would
Yeah.
be awful. But yeah, that's crazy. He has still been really good. Like he's been one of the few pieces for the Kings that have like really performed very well. I mean, Byfield seems like he's going to be great too. So I wouldn't be
Hmm.
surprised if that line, outscored even the top line. Maybe we'll see what kind of minutes they get. But yeah, I think that's decent. And then we've got Trevor Moore, Philip Deneau, and Tanner Jeannot. Deneau and Jeannot. Um, with the third line there, which that's well, interesting. Jeannot is also recently acquired, and he's bounced around a little bit now, playing in Nashville and then Tampa. Um, we'll see if he has as much upside there as was expected of him a couple seasons ago. But other than that, I mean, it's fine. There might be a little bit of a slower line, but they
Yeah,
should
like
be
the
okay.
wingers are fine, but I feel like their center depth is pretty good to have the no on your third line. But at the same time, I remember like in the bubble when he was on Montreal and the Montreal made it to the finals, where everyone's like, "Wow, Danault's like the next big thing. Like this guy is incredible." And like he hasn't really lived up to that level of play, but like he's still pretty good.
I
He's
think
a
he's
good
really good at
defensive forward.
face-offs,
Yeah, he's a good defensive forward, good at face-offs. And
so
like as
you
a
need
third line
that.
center, I'm like, that's really good.
Yeah. I think that's probably the ideal spot you'd want to have for him. And then Samuel Fajimo, Akil Thomas, and Trevor Lewis rounding out the fourth line there, which that's kind of just a hodgepodge. I mean, Lewis is still kicking around.
38.
He's 37. 0.7. But oh my goodness, that's Same with Kopitar, very old, but not
It's a
the
cheap
same
line
level.
though. The highest paid player has $800,000 on the books, so.
That's what you want. That's definitely what you want
Hmm.
for your bottom line.
Yeah, that way you can pay Drew Doughty his 11 million.
Yeah, yeah. Drew Doughty and Mikey Anderson, the top pair, which still should be good. I've said before I really like Mikey Anderson. Um, the Kings are gonna miss having uh, Matt Roy. He's now with the Capitals, but I think he was really good too. So they've got Gavrikov and Jordan Spence as the second pair. I'm not immediately in love with that. I don't know a ton about Jordan Spence though. I know he's like one of the younger prospects. Um, but yeah, I just don't have a ton of information on him.
Yeah, the
And
more I look at
Gavrikov,
this, like I don't love their defense.
yeah, that's where like I've been struggling with this team as far as playoff expectations. Joel Edmondson and Brant Clark being the third pair there. Um, it's not super inspiring as far as just like a really solid NHL defense, at least on paper to me.
Yeah, I didn't even rethink having them in my bracket, but my bracket is based off of not a lot of thinking, and I'm going to leave it that way. Worked in the
It
past.
usually works the best for you, so
Yeah.
that's yeah. I'm sure they'll have a great
I don't know. I'd
season.
have to look at other teams' lines there. Like I have the Kings winning over and see if I feel any different about them, but I probably won't bother.
That's kind of what I did when I was making mine.
Yeah.
Um, we'll cover the goalies, but quickly I'll just cover some other scratches they have listed. So Alex Turcotte, Kyle Burrows, and Andreas Englund, and then Arthur Kaliev, who they just re-signed, but he's on injured reserve right now. And I'm not really familiar with like their prospect pool. I know some teams better than others, but I don't think they've really hit on a ton lately, and most of them are like playing with the team. So, oh, they do have Jack Studnicka,
Mm-hmm.
and
He's moved around a lot.
yeah, he has Jack Hughes as well. That'll be fun.
Phoenix Copley.
Yeah, Phoenix Copley. We'll see if he plays with them this season. Probably not. They've got Kemper and Riddick as the projected tandem here. They just acquired Kemper. I think Riddick was there last season as well. So it's a
Thinking that
older tandem. Bigger.
Dvorak sounded familiar, but that's Christian Dvorak that I was thinking of. But like, yeah,
I wonder
I've
if they're
never heard of a
related.
19-year-old defenseman. But
Yeah, definitely not. Well, again,
not though.
they might be related though.
Maybe.
Um,
But yeah, their
I don't even
goalies
see it.
are Darcy Kemper and David Riddick, and you don't feel great about that either.
Yeah, I mean Kemper had kind of a tough season last year. I know Sam had talked about that when he was on talking about the Capitals. Um, he kind of got hung out to dry a little bit. Like they just weren't starting him as much once he started struggling and the team started struggling. So he wasn't really able to get an opportunity to play his role back or like earn his role back from Charlie Lindgren. So we'll see if like a change of scenery and like another goalie battle. Although I think expectation would be he would beat out David Riddick based on just how those two have played in the league. Like Kemper's been more of a starter that like just a regular starter than Riddick has been, but
Mhm.
neither of them have ever been like really good. So that's also like a kind of a question mark.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately like the defense and the goaltending was ultimately why I kind of poo-pooed them and thought that they would drop off a little bit this season.
Valid.
I thought about it last year, but I was like, no, they still have enough pieces there where I think they'll be fine. But I don't know. I just think that the Pacific is going to be a little bit tougher this year, and maybe just the West in general with the Central having some pretty good teams too. So I just think it's not going to go their way. Maybe they have a couple more injury issues which they've struggled with in the past, and yeah, some of their leaders kind of aging a little bit more. And for that reason, I'm out. I think I've already
All
used
right.
that bit.
The Kings are making the playoffs. You heard it here
You
first.
heard
Brennan's
it.
out. Dean's in.
Who else? Does anybody else have the Kings in? I think
Probably.
Owen has them out as well. He just made his bracket not too long ago. Your father also doesn't have the Kings. Oh no, he does. He has them third as well.
Nice.
And I think that's it
Smart
for other
choice.
brackets. Again, we extended the deadline, so I'm not gonna start hounding people quite yet.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll change mine a little bit. So I'm not gonna. I don't know if I want to go over what I have. Well, I mean, I guess I could. What do you
It's up
think,
to you.
fans? Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Oh, we're so excited. Yeah. Okay. Since you begged me, after all. Um, I'll just start with. I have the Stars as the President's Trophy winners. I don't think that's like a crazy take. They did lose Joe Pavelski to retirement, but other than that, they still look like they're poised to be a really, really good team. So I've got them facing off in the first round against the wildcard 2 Utah Hockey Club. That's right. I toyed with it quite a bit, and I don't know. I just feel like it's an inaugural season thing. It didn't happen for the Kraken. They made it in their second season, but I don't know. I just feel like with the stability there and the support from the ownership group so far we've seen that they have enough where they'll like squeak in. And then I've got Avalanche versus Predators. Avalanche 2 seed, Predators 3 seed, and then on the other side of the bracket, Oilers as the 1 seed for the Pacific, facing off against the Jets. And then Golden Knights 2 seed, Kraken 3 seed. So I've got the Kraken returning to the playoffs, and the Hockey Club making the playoffs for the first time. So, and then that would have the Kings dropping out as well as the Canucks. I didn't have coming back, which I think some people might think is a hot take. It
I
could
had them as
be.
wild card too. I think.
Yeah,
Like I can see the Kraken making it more likely than Utah.
yeah. It could that could be where like only one of them make it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I just especially because it's Vancouver, where it's very rare that they have like long sustained success blocks. It's usually like one or two good, at least as of late. Like maybe a
Yeah.
little bit before when I was watching, like when they had the Sedines and they were building those really strong cup contending teams. Obviously, the 2011 team was one of the best teams to never win the cup. But yeah, as of late, like they have just as a franchise really struggled to consistently stay in the playoffs. Dean has highlighted so many times the PDO, the
Mm.
luck that they had last season, and the big thing was the Demko uncertainty as well for me, just because I was already not really in love with their defense. And now with the goaltending situation potentially being murky for a long time, like I just think it's gonna be a little bit too much for them to overcome.
All valid concerns.
So yeah, and then I had the Kraken slotting in instead. I think they should be good. They've got new head coach, and Jessica Campbell as well, the first female assistant coach. She was behind the bench for her first preseason game already, which is fun. So we'll see how that factors in. Obviously, a couple new pieces as well, Stevenson, and they picked up Brandon Montour as well, with some cup pedigree there. So yeah, I'm just betting on them. We'll shift over to the East. I've got the Hurricanes, the 1 seed in the East, facing off against the Boston Bruins. We've seen this matchup before, and I kind of tried to toy around with it to see if like, because a lot of these are repeat matchups that we've seen very recently, but that just seems like how it's going to shake out, where it's like it's either going to be the Bruins versus the Leafs or the Bruins versus the Hurricanes. Like, just seems like that's all the way that it's shaping up. I
I think the
almost had
Bruins
the
are playing the
Bruins not even making it.
Panthers.
Yeah, it could have been Panthers too. I toyed with that as well. And then Rangers 2 seed against the Devils. I have the Panthers as the 1 seed in the Atlantic, uh, against the Senators. I went
Yeah.
back and forth a lot on this, but I'm going with it. And now Owen's on my side, and if
Curse Owen.
yeah, like he might not like that. He has them in his bracket, shocker as well. But I don't know. I just thought like maybe it makes more sense for the Sabres if one of those teams that haven't made it will step up, or the Red Wings. I know a lot of people have been talking about them too, but I don't know. You just kind of just take a gamble, and then Leafs Lightning as the 2 and 3 seeds. So we've seen that matchup before, pretty recently as well. And then I'll just go to the second round, the semifinals. I've got Stars advancing over the Hockey Club and the Predators over the Avalanche, and then Oilers over Jets. Sorry, Jets, and Golden Knights over Kraken. I think that just I do think that would be a fun matchup. So maybe that leaned into it a little bit, but like
Sure.
that would be pretty fun. So and then Golden Knights over Oilers, and Stars over Predators for the conference finals. Which again, maybe people don't think that the Golden Knights are going to be that good, but I feel like they do their best when people don't think that they're going to be very great. So, I do have the Stars though making it to the finals to
You
face
have
off.
Preds in the conference final.
I had the Preds in the semifinals against the
Yeah.
Stars. And then on the other side of the bracket, Hurricanes defeating the Bruins. Tough go in
They
6.
could beat Toronto.
Maybe. That would be good. And then Devils in a game 7 over the Rangers. We've actually seen that before. I do have the Panthers sweeping the Senators, so at least it's a little realistic if they make it, right? Although
Yeah.
you never know once you get in. And then I do have the Leafs advancing against the Lightning once again this time around. And I had toyed quite a bit with the Lightning dropping out too, but I'm like, I can't write them off still. Like until
Yeah.
it's like I have to believe it to see it sort of thing with them. Seems like they're just gonna be good for a long time, even though they don't have Stamkos anymore. And then I've got the Devils advancing over the Hurricanes to the conference finals, where they'll face off against the Panthers, beating the Leafs once again. And then Devils over Panthers in that conference finals, with the Devils and the Stars being your matchup, which we've seen before. I believe I think that was like maybe 2003. Was that the one? Or 2000.
Like, well, Devils in the final is definitely like dead puck era, so around there.
I think it was 2000, because I think the Stars won in '99 against the Sabres, and then they played the Devils the next season and lost. So, anyways,
I'll take your word for it.
that would be my rematch there, and I do have the Devils winning, which like kind of a big bet
Wow.
for a team that missed the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, that happened with Vegas when they won, and like some teams get underestimated. So that's what I've got now. We'll see if I tweak it. But I don't know, initial thoughts. We've kind of already been touching on it a little bit as we go.
I think it's terrible. It's all wrong.
Thank you. It could be. It really could be.
I mean, I think it's a good mix of like safe picks and then some bold ones in there.
That's kind of what I was like. I was trying to like. Usually, it's around 4 or 5 teams that swap spots from the previous season. So I was trying to get like 5. I ended up having 4 teams that were different. Devils, Senators, Kraken, and Hockey Club being the 4 new teams, and then that would be the Canucks, the Kings, the Islanders, and the
Caps.
yes, the Caps not making it.
Yeah. Like I can see the Caps and the Islanders not making it definitely.
Yeah, I thought about the Islanders over the Senators as well. but I don't know. They just lost a couple guys, and it just doesn't seem like even with Patrick Waugh being there the full season, that could help a lot. So maybe I'm like we already kind of wrote them off last season. A lot of people didn't expect they'd make it back, and they did. So who knows? But that's just how my gut's telling me. I'm sure Zane will have the Islanders back in his bracket. Probably playing the Rangers too.
Yeah.
You
We
didn't
will
have them
see
either, I
how
don't
this
think.
turns out in about 7 or 8 months.
Yeah, we're gonna have a ways to go, but that's the fun part. Well, it's all fun, isn't it?
You got anything else?
Uh I don't think so. We it was a short recording window this time around, so we'll probably
Maybe an
miss
hour and
some
a half.
things.
Well, maybe I don't know. Wes started recording before we actually kicked it off, but we've had shorter episodes probably.
Yeah. Oh well, I guess I meant like when we recorded the last episode to when we're
Um,
recording this one,
yeah.
and like just not a ton has happened, but
Yep.
we are very looking forward to the season getting underway pretty soon here, and you guys obviously following along on our coverage as we go. I think probably we'll have two more episodes before the start of the regular season. Um, well, yeah, I think we'll probably record. Well, let's see. Next Friday is the start of the season. Um, I don't think we're gonna record on Friday, so we'll probably have one more episode after this one, and then regular season hockey once again.
Yep.
That's I think that's all. That's our show.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks
Go
everyone.
bees.
Go V's. Wait. G's? Yeah, G's. See ya. All right. Yeah. Just.
I am talking at my normal volume. Now I'm talking at my excited
Oh
volume.
God.